Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Here Comes the Rain Again event, in which the Stormsinger is added to the game. We also ended up getting a new legend that is available in event keys this week of Taloca. Also, if you still want to get the most recent mythic that was added last Friday, this will be available until the end of Thursday or on Friday reset, in which it will switch over and it'll just be in a drop table with all the other mythics. So if you still want to try getting it, you have basically 4 more days to try to open keys for that. But anyways, let's go over and into our rewards and see this guy. It is a epic, so we end up getting the arcane Traitstones for 200 glory each. So if you need to stock up on yellow purple for anything, it'd be a good time to do so. Herdmaster would be a good thing to throw it in into early game, and Divine Ishbala is still pretty decent even after the nerf for later on in the game. As far as this troop, it is basically like an alternative version of Valkyrie that uses slightly different colors and has a slightly different effect. It transforms a select mana color to blue, which is the exact same thing Valkyrie does for the exact same mana cost, except it ends up summoning a random storm instead of giving a bunch of souls. There are obviously many instances where you'd still want to use the Valkyrie for the souls, but this random storm could come into play on teams that tend to clear the board a lot of times, since you'll be able to have a higher chance of gaining an extra turn from whatever storm happens to be active at a given time. It might also be used for its coloration. It has yellow-purple instead of yellow-red, which may make it used in a few other different teams. Other than that, it has the old Valkyrie trait that was actually removed when it was buffed from Valkyrie, but now this thing ended up getting it instead. It has immune to mana burn, mana drain, and mana steal. Most noteworthy, all the drains in there. So you can't actually steal mana from it, assuming that it's not stunned. So that's going to be a pretty nice aspect from it, since it'll be a pretty consistent mana generator, even if you are up against a mana drain spam teams. But anyways, that is that. Let's go over to the actual event-related stuff. We have 10% to all Strix, as well as 10% to all Elementals. We will get a lot more Traitstones if we use the new Stormsinger in PvP, so definitely a good week to go and do so if you just want to go grind down PvP. And you're pretty much going to have to anyway, so you might as well use it, because the event objective is to go do a bunch of PvP kills. It's one of the easier ones, since all you have to do is kill literally anything in PvP. Do keep in mind, something that did happen earlier last week is they ended up changing how matchmaking works. You'll now get more variety, so you can't just go and just spam firebombs as often as you were in the past. You could still go to casual PvP and do similar things. We are going to see more variation overall within the battles, but definitely worth doing, as there is 150 gems to be gained among other rewards, so pretty nice as far as the overall loot from that. So, let's go into some key opening now. As I mentioned, there is a new legend within the drop table, so let's go obtain that new legend. We'll do it 50 at a time, and we already got it. There we go. There is the Taloca. So let's go upgrade it and go and use it some. So let's go under troops, go under our upgradable. Let's see, that actually try to just be easier to bring it up by actually typing it in. So this guy, he ends up dealing scatter damage to all enemies, which basically just means split damage. For whatever reason, they're calling it scatter now. And it deals triple if there is any storms running. So obviously this will be pretty good with the new troops, since it will constantly keep giving you storms. It's also pretty good with Mountain Crusher, since Mountain Crusher will automatically be able to keep replenishing storms pretty easily. And basically any troop that can constantly keep doing a storm at the start of battle, let's say like a Skady or something like that, it would also be pretty good synergy with troops like those. But for the most part, it does seem a little bit lackluster compared to how much damage Rowan can do and other things, though it can't really be countered because you can't use a storm to counter a storm. There's currently nothing that actually stops a storm. There might be in the future, but not even Dispel or anything does that. Once a storm is on the board, it will stay for 8 turns, 4 per player. So no one can just storm counter you with another storm or anything like that. There's no way to actually remove it. It's somewhat like a Kraken as well, in that it has a 10 damage to a random enemy every single 4 or 5 times match. So that will end up stacking up to be, well, quite a bit of damage over time. So it's not as much as Kraken being able to potentially do 12, but it's all concentrated onto a single target. So it's still pretty good. But we'll go get this guy max so we can go and use him in some teams in a little bit. Let's just go over the other few things real quick though. As far as, well, nothing to really go over with guild, just the same guild wars as always, though there might be some changes coming in next patch to guild related stuff. But as far as pets, we're going to be getting the pet for Karkaroth on Wednesday. On Tuesday, we're going to be having the event for the Crypt. This is actually the first event for the Crypt, other than when it first initially came out, so that's pretty nice. And we'll have the class event for the Priest class. Priest class, before the Divine nerf, I would have said was probably one of the best hero classes in the game aside from Titan. It is a little bit lower now simply because Divines did get nerfed, and most people are just using Titan these days because it's used for so many other things. But still a pretty decent hero class, has a lot of synergies with Divines, and you would still use it with Divine Ishbala and all the other kind of synergy that it would have with just any 3x, 4x Divine team. But as far as Soulforge, we have a few things to craft this week that could be considered worth it. Not too many, but mainly Ketris the Bull and Queen Mab. Queen Mab is the best freezer in the game, having this final trait that freezes enemies every single time you extra turn. She's not really that good if you don't have her fully traded, but a decent early game to mid game and even late game kind of troops to have around. Always great to have a very good freeze option so that the enemy can't keep spamming extra turns. Other than that, you might want to consider getting a Ketris. Ketris has a very high concentration of damage, and if you keep buffing up his stats, he can do even more damage. Not only that, but if you use in a red spam team, he will naturally automatically gain more stats, even if you don't have a specific troop that will go and buff him up. But let's go now into some teams. So let's go right over our first battle is. Never mind, what on earth is that battle? We'll go into this battle then, and head down to, I guess we'll show this one first. So we're going to start with the Loop team. Oh no, he has Spirit Fox. Okay, repick. No Spirit Fox. What is with all these weird teams? Of course, we'll just do casual PvP, fine. But we're going to be starting with a extremely... Oh, it would help if I put the troop in there. Now I forget his name as well. Fail. I think it was Talco? Talc? Nope. Nope. Taloca. There we go. Anyways, let's put him in there. I should probably go put the other one in there too while we have it on search. Let's see. Taloco. Put him in there, and I think that's the last team that we needed with him. Anyways, okay. So, Vanguard plus Stormsinger. Very, very nice combo in that they can just keep looping mana back and forth to each other as much as you really want. We don't necessarily need the Diviner there, mainly just there to cover all the colors. We could go put a hero there so we gain EXP as well as just another damage source since we're only using this as our damage source as of currently. But pretty nice synergy because these two not only feed into each other, but they actually boost based on each other, at least this one does. It destroys a row and then creates yellow gems boosted by blue gems destroyed. So it'll be creating a bunch of yellow, boosted by the blues. And this guy is a yellow user that creates a bunch of blues, so works out perfectly. So all we have to do is just hit a nice little area with a bunch of blues. That'll make a bunch of yellow, and we just have full mana for everything. And then we just throw down one of our abilities. We'll obviously have Perpetual Storm because we have this thing constantly creating a storm every cast. And we just get triple damage on that for a decent chunk of damage out of him. And we'll ideally want to convert out something that's not either of those two colors just so we can keep them going. And yeah, basically just keep repeating this. Unfortunately, this guy doesn't have any board control like a Kraken or anything like that. So we do automatically end our turn every single time. And it's not exceptionally high damage. Rowan and several other split damages are still higher. Even Sunbird, I believe, is about the same, if not higher, depending on the context of the team that you use. You can see we can get him down in a few casts. Still pretty potent. As far as the new legend in general, I feel like it'll be a little bit better earlier on in the game because split damage is generally better at that time. But I personally don't feel like I'll be using it much. And if I ever was to use something that's themed like him, I feel like I would be using Kraken or just a better split damage in most instances. But still, this other double combo using these two troops, plus the fact that we're getting the Arcane Traitstone every single time we end up using it, or the extra Arcane Traitstone, I should say. So we don't have anything really good to do here, which is unfortunate. Neither of our two converts are alive. No, yes we do, never mind. We'll go get that one. And then we can just get a nice boost ratio, should be able to get those yellows going, and then just hit them again. And at this point, we can just take an extra turn to kill it. I think I will, just because I have a feeling it's going to revive. It has a 50% chance to do so. So we're going to do that. It does not revive, and if it did, it was still our turn, so we could have hit him with several more hits. And just go from there. But yeah, that double combo has a lot of potential. Let's just repick into a real team. He's just using fire bombs. And there we go, we got a Divine. Let's see. None of these actually specifically counter Divine, but we'll go with this. So here is a low-level, mid-range, actually probably more so mid-range, team that uses the Justice premise. Justice is still a really good troop, and we're going to be using this instead of the Valkyrie just because it allows us to use Scurvy Sea Dog a little bit better. But yeah, basically as standard as a Justice team goes, just get a bunch of freeze onto the enemy team, and then pretty much just go from there. This guy ends up freezing for blue that's on the board, and obviously we'll be feeding him plenty of blues with the other troop. And we'll be able to get that down pretty easily. What was your convert again? Green to blue, so we can just get that right in there. That'll give us all the mana we really need for everything. We can then go get some freezes down. Ideally, would want to do it on a lot of them. We already have all of our mana that we currently need, so I guess we'll just do it on skulls for now and wait on our freezes. And let's see, we'll go get a nice convert just to get the justice right back up. We have Doom Skulls available again, so we can just go right into that. If we really wanted to, we could replace out the Scurvy Sea Dog as well for hero if we wanted to try gating hero HP with this team. And if we have blue alignment, we simply just give it back so we can keep hitting Doom Skulls with justice, and that thing will just keep getting stronger and stronger. He has 50% skull reduction as well to help keep us protected, so we don't just instantly die to our own skull damage that we keep giving him as well, in case we miss or anything like that. We didn't even need him to freeze. Normally you'd want to freeze because this gains a 4x boost ratio per thing frozen on the opposing team, but this time around we didn't even need it, and there we go. And that's pretty much that team. And it uses epics and below. The entire team is epic and below. The only two things that are slightly harder to get is the Ice Golem and Scurvy Sea Dog. And you can even just replace out Scurvy Sea Dog if you wanted. Main reason you need Ice Golem is more so for the freeze, but as you saw there, we didn't even need that mechanic. Just the stone skin was the only thing we really were using from him specifically. Anyways, one last little team. There's a lot of things that you can do with this, but Mountain Crusher with Taloca, and I figured we'd throw a Kraken in there since they're both themed similarly and that they like to get a lot of extra turns. But yeah, you can do this basically any way you want. Just do a Mountain Crusher with any kind of Taloca composition, just to be able to give him his Perpetual Storm. Mountain Crusher is really good at constantly always having Storm, assuming you have its 6th perk. The 6th perk on it ends up creating a Brown Storm every cast you do. And that on top of just Mountain Crusher's natural mana accumulation is pretty much going to keep you constantly at full mana, which is really nice. And we have the Goblin Rocket here. We could go for other alternatives if we wanted to, but I'm mainly just doing that for the board control so that we can ideally aim for extra turns. This team is also more so about, compared to the first one, it's more so about casting than actually spamming. So we're just going to go for this, get that hit down. Didn't get the mana we wanted, but we still got the storm going. It lasts for a while, so we can just get our hit down again after we move every single extra turn, and we are getting damage every single time. We're 3 damage to everything and 10 damage to one of them is what we're doing per extra turn there. So we'll go throw this down. Let me actually throw that before the Kraken would make more sense, since we can simply go use the Kraken in order to go gain some blue mana, ideally, which completely missed, but oh well. And if we have any board that we can move that looks nice, we'll do so. Otherwise, yeah, I guess we will. We can go for some blues there. It's not an extra turn, but it's still plenty of damage, and it kills out the one. And we just go Mountain Crusher. Let's take some damage first, though. And I think that's already killed. We can take a few more extra turns if we really wanted to just go pinch it down, but we can just go for the split, do a high concentration of damage onto one of them, and just kill it out. And the Kraken is kind of nice in synergy with it, since it can get devours, and obviously with the split damage, you do want as few enemies as possible, because the fewer enemies, the more concentrated damage you'll be doing per cast. But anyways, that's all the new content for the week. If you guys still have any other questions... Oh, there is one other thing. Treasure Gnome event is this Friday, so we'll be able to get a bunch of treasure-related stuff. Also a good time to go use vault keys. But anyways, that is everything that's going to be coming in with this event. If you still have any other questions or anything else you want me to go over, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful week. Best of luck if you're going to be opening any keys for anything. Goodbye, everyone!